Hi, it's Frank with Andrew Duncan. Say hi, Andrew.
What's up?
We're going to talk about what Andrew's doing to boost his recruiting this year. So if you're tuning in and you want a first-class education on how to recruit agents to your team or to your revenue share downline, which Andrew just joined LPT Realty, we're going to talk about what he's doing, one of those things being viral, but within the context of everything else. So let's get down to it. Very briefly, Andrew, for anyone who doesn't know who you are, 1-minute bio.
Yeah, so Andrew Duncan, the Duncan Duo team with LPT Realty in Tampa. Been an agent almost 20 years. Have been on the Real Trends top 50 list for practically a decade. Top 5 agent at RE/MAX prior to my move to LPT. Have averaged 700 transactions a year on my team. Been as high as 900. 14 straight years with 7 figures net profit. Own multiple other real estate businesses. A title company, a flip company, and then obviously helping coach agents across the country. And then last but not least, the official real estate agents of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup hockey champions. And I'm a car junkie, so you can see the cars behind me. But yeah, my focus is on growing my team and growing LPT as it expands nationally.
Andrew, step aside really quick. Show everyone that McLaren. And then what's the red one?
It's a Ferrari.
Oh, wow.
458.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm a car junkie. That's my that's what I spend all my money on. Is besides lead gen,
Cars
are the second expense on the personal expense checklist. So
let's go through the top things that you're doing to not only recruit to your team locally in Tampa, but you're also recruiting to LPT for the rev share and to build the brokerage. What's the first thing I talk about?
I think, through all my years in the industry, my move to LPT was a major move, not just from a wealth building and strategy standpoint, because I love everything the company stands for in terms of creating income opportunities for agents, but also being real estate first and helping real estate agents sell more real estate. But in addition to that move, the last few years, I'd felt a yearning to be able to impact more people. And the people that I bring onto my team, I can help them, but they serve a certain purpose and are not as likely to be as entrepreneurial. So when I made the move, I realized I wanted to help more agents. And I think the first thing that I thought of was giving it all away. What can I provide to agents? What can I share with them? What can I give to them about my track record to help them produce? And that's why I'm working with Vyral. Shooting videos, creating content, sharing my billboards, my TV commercials, my radio commercials. Those are going to be all things that I'm doing on doovermovement.com to help agents learn from some of my mistakes, some of my background, and help them, kind of either avoid a do-over or blow some shit up and do it all over like I've had to do many times over the 20-year, history that I've had in the business.
Yeah, you're seeing that when you build a really buyer-heavy team that's been corrected upon you pretty hard this past year and a half or so. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Let me just, I'll share my screen really quick. Let's show everyone your recruiting video blog, just so they can kind of see what you built and the content you're putting out. Let me share my screen. Let's make sure I get the right one. That's it. Hang on. Takes a minute to load. Come on.
It's loading. It says 99%. which is a great list to sell price ratio for a real estate agent, by the way.
So there it is. Pretty straightforward. More listings, more profit. LPT stands for Listing Power Tools, by the way.
Yep.
Right. So the goal is to book a call with Andrew, and you can scroll down and you can see all the videos that he's making, and he'll guide you on your advertising plan if you're going to be buying ads and buying media for listings, getting on his newsletter, joining his team. And all this will be put together for him to drive agents here, start an LPT Realty conversation. And Andrew's sending out a couple educational video tips every single month. Here's your latest one. Video email goes out to your agent list, drives them back here to watch to get to know you. But it's very clear that you wanted to start a conversation about joining LPT.
Yep.
Great. What's next?
So I think next in my list of recruiting was, hiring a great recruiter and onboarder. Certainly I've got to have somebody that my marketing in terms of generating candidates, somebody can convert and bring people into the company that isn't always me. But I think how we do that has been very intentional with things like, a career night where we invite prospective agents to a Zoom where they get to learn about our company. I think I've also instituted personally reaching out to agents. A lot of times in our roles, we get to the point where we run such a business that we almost become distant from the agent that is, watching what you do and admiring it and wants to work with you, but doesn't get you. So I've kind of opened myself up more personally to build those agent relationships to help them grow to get to another level.
Keep going. What's the next thing you did?
Networking with other top agents. One of the neat things about being, the fastest growing real estate brokerage at LPT, there's a certain energy that comes along with being a fast growing company, right? Like I've been part of fast growing companies. My company hit the Inc. 5000 list several years in a row, got as high as I think in the 900s. And there's an exuberance and a fun about a fast growing real estate brokerage. So when I came over, and I announced my move in September with Robert Palmer at my office, it created some shockwaves through the industry. I had a lot of people reaching out to me, a lot of top agents saying, "Oh, wow, they went. I'm interested." So just reaching out and sharing the opportunity with other top agents at events and, and they're friends of mine, because at some point, someone has to share the opportunity with you for you to be open to it. And so these are people that I've known and trusted and worked with for years. So I've been very intentional about reaching out and saying, "Hey, if you have questions, here's the model. Here's some unique things about it. Here's been my experience going on my 6th month in the model now." And as a new company, that's a pretty senior agent at LPT being in 6 months. So I've gone through the onboarding and all those things. So being very intentional and talking and almost in a sense headhunting, Frank, looking at that sphere of influence that I have and saying, "You know what? These are the people that I really need to speak to." And you can look at my blog and see a lot of those people that the relationship to come to LPT started with me. And so a lot of those top agents that have come, and then the people that they're going to bring, it can be an enormous wealth building opportunity for top team leaders.
I want to share something with the audience here. When Andrew signed up for Vyral, normally you just kind of, give me whatever list you got on hand, and we start the Vyral system on it. But Andrew was very purposeful. He's like, no, I really got to make sure I got the right people on here. How do I make sure I get, I want top teams? I'm like, oh,
right.
Well, I don't know. Just kind of a dirty export of your Google contacts is going to do that. You need to open your Facebook, man. I mean, how many agents are you friends with on Facebook? I mean, probably hundreds and not thousands.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, the thing that you really impressed upon me was, look, Andrew, you can do this right.
Quick and let's just dump it all, and
you can just export all of your emails from your databases and your leads, and you can export your Facebook context, and so I actually had virtual assistants and my daughter working on going through this list, looking at people's production, making sure it's people I knew, and I went through and weeded it out and narrowed it down because I wanted I wanted the right people I personally knew,
yeah,
or had some sort of personal communication with through the years. I didn't just want to upload some list. I wanted it to be authentic. So we spent a lot of time, probably a couple months.
You spent a lot of time, Andrew. Like, whenever you were on a plane, you would sit there and go through every single Facebook contact and circle them, and then you went and looked up their contact information or asked them for it.
And I went through like the board of realtors list, and I was like, I don't know who this person is. We're not going to include them. I know this person. We've done deals with them, or I know this person, or I know that person. And
yeah.
And so building the list that you're going to market to, because you're not just going to email drip on them. You're gonna also retarget. You're gonna send them content. You don't want to waste money on a list of people that are not your targeted people. So for me, we spent a lot of time on the messaging and a lot of time on the list, and obviously, with the move that I've made to LPT, I certainly want to keep my team operating at a high level, and I think we're already seeing improvement there with our move. But it's another revenue pillar. It's another business, that operates, and I wanted to do it right. And I spent a lot of time on that list to make sure I had the right people. And the cool part is when you when you do build out an organization like this is that you want to reward kind of people in your first and second lines that have joined you. And so there's a collaborative thing that can come across with certain candidates or people that look at your blog that knows someone else. And no different than having listing agents and buyer agents. You can build out leverage in that same capacity by sharing responsibilities, sharing clicks on candidates, and people that click on this link, and I can have other people reach out to them. And so it really really can have leverage within it.
With that, of building, grabbing all the agents, but also really having this extra segment of like, I really need to build relationships with these big team owners, which is kind of like you kind of built the balance sheet of the relationships in your life. Like you've gone through the industry for 20 some years. You had to sit down and like create a balance sheet of like a relationship statement of like, man, I really know all these people on the assets column.
Right.
They'll take an appointment with me. They'll listen to me. There's trust there.
Yeah.
It took time to build that out.
Right.
And then, you call them up to maybe join LPT, but it just can't be that all the time. So we're doing something a little bit different that might lead to that conversation.
Correct.
Which is a mastermind. So I'm going to share that and let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about the mastermind for sure. And I think that's where I want to preface this by saying, pretty much my entire career I've been marketing based, prospecting enhanced, right? I've always been a heavy marketer, spend a lot of money on marketing and lead gen. I wanted people to call me. I didn't want to have to solicit them. And it's pretty much the same thing that my focus is on recruiting and bringing people to LPT. And I'm over 400 people in my organization in just a few months. So it's moving fast. It's growing quick. And so the mastermind is kind of an extra element to that where I'm saying, you know what, if you're a top producer and you're going to be in St. Pete that week for LPT's event, I want you there. I want to learn from you. I want to help you grow, whether you're LPT or not, whether you don't even want to hear us talk about LPT even once, because we won't. It'll be all about us growing and building our teams. But there's an organic part of getting around those groups of people and then them being comfortable enough with you to ask the questions about why you did it and how it could impact them too.
So let's recap. You rounded up all the agents you knew and double made sure that the agents you really wanted were on your list. And then you committed to start sending educational Q&A, like educational videos about how you built your team, all with a very clear call to action to talk to me about LPT. So you're not going to your database all the time to say joining LPT. You're going with educational information.
And it's also or click for a marketing marketing analysis. Let me look at the marketing you're doing and compare it with what I'm doing and share my experience. And I've had 2 enormous teams that truthfully I hadn't talked to in a long time, but I'd seen them through the years at different events. In the last couple of days, book appointments with me for advertising review. So thank you, Frank. I'm not going to say names, but big players.
Yeah. And we came up with that idea. I was like, man, what makes Andrew Duncan different?
Yeah.
Well, the dude buys a lot of media.
Right.
And wouldn't you love to get on calls with big teams that buy a lot of media too? You should do a second opinion.
Yeah. And that's what we did. And it's working.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
And again, my goal is adding value for the person and building a relationship. I don't even know if if they ask a question about LPT, great, but I don't view it as a sales call. I view it as a call for me to help them and then also to learn from them.
Yeah, that's great. Holding some events to get everyone together and connect. This isn't very difficult. We threw up an event on Eventbrite, decided to invite some people to your garage on the tail end of the LPT event. And we're just going to spend all day long masterminding, and it'll probably lead to conversations about LPT on the back end.
Yep.
Got it.
And I think the cool part is that I think we've all been part of the mastermind groups. I've gone to a lot of them. They all offer different levels of value. The thing that I wanted to do was certainly the cool factor of it being around the St. Pete Grand Prix, but it being at my house. And I've got I know it sounds weird to do an event in your garage, but my garage is freaking badass.
Everybody that comes gets to drive your cars, right?
I didn't say that. Maybe some ride-alongs for sure. I'm going to have to move them all out into the driveway though, so we can all, but my garage is 2,800 square feet. So it's bigger than a lot of people's houses. But the cool part is like, besides that, it's not at some expensive resort. It's not challenging to get to. There's not a whole bunch of frivolous stuff. We're going to sit here, we're going to get some lunch brought in, and we're going to sit here from 11 to whenever, and we're going to hammer out some ideas and help each other grow.
I love it. Let's switch gears to talking to recruiting for the team.
Yep.
Why don't you just fill everyone in now about kind of where your team stands in the context of its history and what you're doing to get it up to the new market, the new normal, and build it strong again.
Yeah. So about 40 agents now is where we're at. And our per agent productivity, like a lot of people's, is half what it was a few years ago. So I've realized that, I can move that sales needle a few ways. One is more agents, and another one is improving per agent productivity. So my focus realistically is doing both. So as I look to add on agents, I want to be able to give them a runway where they can see, I'm going to work for his team for a year or 2 or 3, and then there's something after that for me. And that's a big component of LPT for me, is that I can have somebody join my team, coach them up and train them how to be a team leader, and then still have a financial incentive in their success and continuing to support and help them grow with all the years of experience I have. So I think growing agent count, offering things to agents from a value add perspective in terms of training, coaching, leads, systems, CRMs, proximity to me. I think that my resume speaks for itself in terms of building a team and selling a lot of real estate. So I think there's certainly an aspect of people joining to learn from what I built and then someday wanting to do it their own. So I've been intentional about growing agent count, and we've unveiled new things. Obviously, I have a recruiting blog. We do a career night. We run a lot of ads. I've run billboards.
You run billboards for local recruiting? What'd they say?
I've done a bunch of them, but I've done like, we're hiring realtors, and I'm just kind of pointing at people. We've even done like some funny lightning ones.
So you put on a billboard, so you're okay reaching that message to someone who's non-licensed.
Yep. And we've done radio ads.
Step back a little bit. That's a big thing for someone listening to this.
Yeah.
You made the decision to advertise to hire agents to non-licensees.
Yeah.
Why don't you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think, look, there's a lot of real estate agents that have bad habits from the last couple of years, right? Like, it was easy to sell real estate 2 years ago. Anyone with a pulse and blood, and they'd get 6 transactions, right? And so what I've realized is that some of my best salespeople come from outside real estate. So identifying and attracting those people to real estate is a crucial part of my growth. So I am not afraid to bring new agents into my company that have never sold a house, as long as they have the right energy, they're coachable, they have the right work ethic, and they'll show up. So yeah, I've run ads, and of course the ads certainly attract existing agents too. But certainly new agents for me bring a different element to to my company in terms of their approach in selling than an experienced agent that may have some bad habits.
I find that excellent, because the whole industry is just like, I only go after licensees. But you decided to put a billboard up to hire.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to hire again, someone's hungry.
Yeah.
I was that young hungry agent once. Some of my top salespeople weren't agents before they joined me. They were brand new, but they were coachable. They learned, they listened. They didn't have some of the bad habits of prior markets. And so there are a lot of agents out there right now poisoned in the order taker mentality that 2 years ago allowed them to be successful. That just doesn't work anymore. And so those agents that don't adapt are going to fail out. And that's not a mentality I want in my company. So I'm certainly unafraid to go find that mentality in people outside the industry.
Tell me about these career nights.
So the career night for us is a pressure-free environment for someone who's licensed or not licensed to learn about us, to ask questions, and to see how we operate. They get to see a little snapshot into the back end of our CRM, so they see how many leads we're generating. They get to ask questions Realistically, what we've learned is that people like to do Zooms. They're a little more resistant to in-person stuff. So we do a Zoom that allows people to be anonymous, and they can register, join theduo.com, and they get to register for our career night, and they get to learn about what we offer.
I'm pulling up jointheduo.com.
Sweet.
If it loads, we'll find out my computer's having a bad time today. It's not your website, trust me.
But so the idea is the career night allows people to sign up and learn in a pressure-free environment, because you'll get people that observe you for years, but they're like, oh, I don't want to go in there and meet with them. They may put a contract in front of me and hard sell me something or make me pay a bunch of money or whatever. And so for us, the reality is that if they want to learn about our operation, let's reduce the barrier to entry. Let's allow them to register for the career night in a really simple, easy way.
Yeah, easy peasy right there, huh? Great.
Yep.
Second Tuesday of every month. Love it. Okay. Why don't you talk a little bit? We'll kind of wrap this up. You're back in the trenches. Why? And explain what I meant by that.
So back in the trenches means I will go out. I go out on listing appointments. And so my goal this year is to do 30 personal transactions. I think a lot of agents, a lot of team leaders the last 2 years were operating from an ivory tower mentality. The market was super hot. We were printing money. And I think we got too separated from the processes and systems that got us our success. And I think we separated ourselves too much from our agents that want proximity to us. So as I've learned over the last 6 months, there's things that were a requirement in my organization years ago that I don't pay attention to anymore. I always believe you inspect what you expect. And so as I noticed sales not happening as often, and I started drilling into some of these things, I realized that my lack of personal production has allowed some things that used to be obligations or requirements within my team are slipping through the cracks. So I've stepped in to help solidify that, to help my agents produce, to help overcome objections that they have by hearing the objections from today. And I also think that it is highly profitable. If I can list 30 homes at an average sale price of, $800,000, that's $24 million in production for my company. And, I've done it for so long that it's easy for me. Like it really is, but it's also getting back to those basics that we get lost in when the market is super hot.
I want to jump back to LPT Realty. And just to help the audience here, when you call an agent that you have an acquaintance with, kind of out of the blue, hey, it's Andrew Duncan. Hi, Andrew. What do you want? Go.
So, man, you just definitely put me on the spot. I think, well, first off, it would depend. I would hopefully have a personal relationship with the person where I'm not just calling them going right into the pitch. So let's assume I've already done some checking in on them and caring about them and checking in on their life because it's someone I know. But I would first start off and say something like, hey, look, I know you've probably heard about LPT, and I just wanted to make sure that you know that I'm available to answer any questions.
Because they probably know you made a switch, and anyone you're calling on knows that you switched.
Yeah. So I want to make sure they know I'm available to talk to them personally about it, that if they have questions about it, I'm available. And then I want to make sure they understand the model. So I get their okay. Hey, can I send you a screenshot of what, the financial model looks like, what the breakdown is? Can I share any insight into, the impact it's had on me the last 6 months, or what you might be saying no to that you don't know about just because you're kind of turned off to it? And truthfully, when I first heard about LPT, similarly, I had the wall up too. So I've been there, but eventually, when you see it, you start to think it through. It's a very strong value proposition. So I just want to make sure to be the resource or the conduit for the people that I do know that are thinking about it, that they know that I'm available for them to help them understand it, that I want to help them grow, and that LPT is focused on that as well.
Here's a question I got for you. just emotionally, to get behind building this website and making these videos and doing all this stuff and talking about LPT, to go from one huge brand name to another does not happen overnight. Can you tell the audience about the process of how you got so emotionally excited about LPT that you want to evangelize about it? From coming over from like just the human side of like the identity shift?
Yeah. And so it's interesting because when I when I first looked at the model, I thought, wow, that is impressive, but I don't want to move because that's a lot of work. It really wasn't as much work as you think it is. Truthfully, it was a few days of changing out a lot of websites, changing some materials, radio. I mean, did we have to change a lot? Of course, but I think it was a lot more intimidating, the thought that it was going to create all this extra work, than the actual work that it took to move. And I think I'm someone who always wants to stay ahead of the curve and be ahead of the game, so to speak. And I see what's happening in the industry. So I knew a model change for me was necessary. I knew that just the environment of the real estate market today needed some disruption. And I loved what this company stood for and what it meant to help real estate agents produce more, to invest more, but also to create wealth and opportunity for top teams to not just generate and create more business, but also create additional revenue pillars. At a time when there's a lot of pressure on buyer agent commission and the threat that it could get reduced or go away in its entirety, for me, monetization of who I am as a person and what I can help agents across the country do seemed like a logical no-brainer move to pivot and take advantage of before it could consequently be too late.
From the moment you made the decision you're going to leave to the moment you announced, how long was that?
A few weeks.
A few weeks.
It was fast. Yeah, it was fast. And God bless my team. God bless my team, because they grinded, they put in the overtime, and they worked through it, and all the obstacles that come with, when you're your own brokerage and you operate the way that you want to operate, and then having to change that for the benefits, right? But you had systems and processes that had to be modified.
How are you finding time to have all these recruiting conversations, given that you run a team and Lord knows what else, and race cars?
So certainly, I'm working more than I probably have in a while. But I think there's a passion about it and an excitement because it's different. And I think it's different because I get to talk to a different caliber of person. And look, I love the agents that join my team, and I want to pour into them and I want to help them be successful. But most of the agents on my team have a ceiling of income in terms of what they're willing to do and what they're willing to risk. It's why they're on a team. I have some of them that want to make $200,000 or $150,000 or $100,000. The reality is that if they wanted to make millions, they would have to take risks and go down a path that maybe they're not comfortable with, which is why they work on my team. What I've enjoyed doing is having the conversations with the people that do want to make the millions, that are running big teams, that do want to plug into this model to have it be more successful. It's excited me in a different way than working with the agents on my team, simply because they're a little bit more aligned with maybe my vision for my own life or my own wealth building. They're more entrepreneurial in their vision, and that's been something that's been really fun, actually, just different than anything else I've done in the last 20 years.
Andrew, thanks for sharing all this. Good luck.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate your help.
No, it's great being able to go out and talk to a bunch of peers all along in the industry, and there's like a financial incentives that drives it to make it doable.
Yeah, and financial incentives for them too. And I think that's the one thing that I would tell people, and this is something I think a lot of people make this a big mistake here. And probably the best piece of advice I could give to anyone watching this that has looked at either revenue share companies, cloud-based companies, or revenue share companies, choose your sponsor wisely. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of not seeking someone that can move the needle for them, or maybe just going with the first person that tells them about the opportunity. The reality is who you pick as your sponsor is your own choice. It is something, it's not a right or anything, but it's your choice. And I think a lot of people that I've spoke to over the years that have gone to cloud-based revenue share companies, didn't think that through. And then when they got in with their sponsor, there wasn't a value added opportunity for them to learn from that person or grow with that person or get any extra, oomph, so to speak. So I think it's important. I don't know if you can hear the jets flying over me. I'm right next to an Air Force base, and they have fighter jets literally like getting ready for the air show in a couple of weeks. So if you hear that, I apologize. But I think choosing your sponsor and who you choose as your sponsor in terms of the value that they can add for you is really crucial. If you're not choosing a sponsor based on that, you're going to miss out on some growth because that sponsor has a vested interest in your success.
Well, if you made it this far and you watched this before the event, reach out to us. You have our contact information. Come out to our mastermind in Tampa.
Yeah, do you want to hit up the link or put the link in the comments or put the link in the webinar that you shoot out? Because I know we mentioned join the duo and the do-over movement, but I don't think the webinar event is on there.
No.
So our webinar, and I want to specify that.
Mastermind.
Yeah, our mastermind. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Our mastermind is there is a production requirement. We want agents or teams with at least $1 million in GCI because it is going to be high level, and certainly there's a mastermind. I do Zooms for a lot of my first line and second line agents. There's opportunities for me to help everybody grow, but the mastermind we're doing in St. Pete, we want to be top level, top team leaders. So there is $1 million GCI minimum with that. So if you're interested in that, Frank will put up the link. You can also send me a DM on any of the social channels and we'll get you the invite as well. Or Frank, you can send Frank a DM too. He'll send it to you.
It's on March
8th.
8th in Tampa.
Yeah, March 8th from 11 to whenever we finish. There's going to be some cool stuff. We're here that week for the St. Pete Grand Prix. Which is going to be exciting. Our annual LPT's annual conference is around that. But my mastermind itself, there is not a requirement for LPT. You don't have to go to the LPT event. You don't have to be interested in LPT at all. But if you're going to be in town or if you're local and you produce at that level, we want to make sure to get you invited. So send us a message or hit that link, and we'd love to have you there. We are limiting it to 20 to 25 people to make sure we all have the opportunity to learn from each other.
Andrew, thanks for doing this.
Sweet. Appreciate it, brother. See you soon.